everyone, and welcome to my Economics 100 podcast. My name is Vikramjeet Singh, and today you're tuning into a special episode where we travel back in time using artificial intelligence to speak with one of the most influential economists in history, John Maynard Keynes. For this project, I am using AI technology to simulate real interviews with famous economists, so that I can better understand their ideas and how those ideas explain real-world economic problems. John Maynard Keynes completely changed how governments think about recessions, unemployment, and economic crises. While earlier economists believed markets always correct themselves, Keynes argued that government action is sometimes necessary to prevent economic collapse and mass unemployment. In today's episode, I'll be asking Keynes how his ideas apply to modern challenges, such as job loss, inflation, government spending, public debt, uncertainty, and economic stability. So grab your headphones, get comfortable, and let's begin our AI-powered economics podcast with John Maynard Keynes. First of all, thank you for speaking with me today, Lord Keynes. Let's begin with the first question. What was the main economic problem you were trying to solve? And why were the older economic theories not enough?
From my point of view, the main problem was mass unemployment and long economic downturns. Before my work, many economists believed that if wages and prices fell, the economy would naturally return to full employment. However, during the Great Depression, that did not happen. Businesses were afraid to invest, people stopped spending, and millions remained unemployed for years. Total spending, what I called effective demand, is what truly drives jobs and production. When private spending collapses, the government must step in to restore jobs and output.
When demand falls, what should the government do? And what is the fiscal multiplier?
When people and businesses stop spending, government spending can replace that missing demand. The fiscal multiplier means that when the government spends money, it creates more total economic activity than the original amount spent. For example, when the government hires workers, those workers spend their wages supporting other businesses and jobs. This cycle helps push the economy toward recovery.
How should fiscal policy and monetary policy work together, especially when interest rates are already very low?
When interest rates are already very low, and people still refuse to borrow or invest, the economy is in a liquidity trap. Cutting interest rates no longer works in this situation. Government spending then becomes essential. The central bank can support recovery by keeping borrowing cheap, but real recovery happens when governments directly increase spending and investment.
Let's talk more directly about unemployment. Why does unemployment stay high during recessions? And does cutting wages solve the problem?
Cutting wages across the whole economy usually makes things worse. When people earn less, they spend less, and businesses sell less, which leads to even more job losses. The real cause of unemployment is low demand, not wages being too high. To reduce unemployment, governments must increase total spending, especially through public investment and job creation.
If you had to choose one policy to fight unemployment during a recession, what would it be?
I would personally choose public works, such as infrastructure and housing projects. They create jobs quickly, improve long-term productivity, and restore business confidence.
You talked about animal spirits. How do fear and uncertainty affect recessions?
When people feel uncertain about the future, they stop investing and spending. Even if loans are cheap, businesses may still refuse to expand. The government can restore confidence through clear plans, reliable budgets, and visible public investment.
If inflation is caused by supply issues like rising energy prices, how should governments respond?
Supply shocks need targeted solutions. Slowing the entire economy would increase unemployment. Instead, governments should fix the root supply problem while protecting lower-income households until prices stabilize. If inflation expectations rise permanently, central banks should step in more firmly.
What role do automatic stabilizers like unemployment benefits and progressive taxes play?
They They stabilize the economy automatically. Benefits help people continue spending during downturns, while higher taxes during booms prevent overheating. These systems reduce the depth of recessions without needing new laws.
How should governments think about public debt?
In my opinion, governments should borrow during recessions to create jobs and restore spending. Once the economy recovers, then it is the correct time to reduce debt. Cutting spending too early, called austerity, can shrink the economy and make debt problems worse.
Do modern tools like quantitative easing and forward guidance match your ideas?
They can help shape expectations and lower long-term interest rates, but they work best when people feel confident about their incomes. If confidence is missing, governments must use direct spending and job creation.
How do your views differ from Milton Friedman?
From my perspective, my friend Friedman trusted monetary rules and limited government action. I believe that during deep recessions, government spending must lead the recovery. In normal times, we may agree on stability, but in crises, strong government action is necessary.
What is the one most important lesson today's leaders should remember from your work?
Leaders should never accept high unemployment as unavoidable. When private spending collapses, governments must act boldly to protect jobs. Once the economy is strong again, discipline can return.
Lord Keynes, thank you very much for sharing your ideas and your time with us today. Your insights into unemployment, government spending, and economic stability have been extremely valuable for this discussion. This conversation with John Maynard Keynes clearly shows the importance of government action during economic crises. Keynes believed that unemployment is not something society should accept, and that governments have a responsibility to protect workers and stabilize the economy. What stood out most to me was how strongly Keynes emphasized confidence, expectations, and public investment. He showed that recovery is not just about numbers, it's about restoring hope and trust in the future. When comparing Keynes with Milton Friedman, I now better understand how two famous economists can see the economy in very different ways. Friedman focused on money supply and market rules, while Keynes believed that government spending is essential during major downturns. This interview helped me understand today's debates about inflation, unemployment, and government debt in a much deeper way. It also showed me how ideas from nearly 100 years ago still strongly influence today's economy. So, that's it. Thank you for listening to my podcast.